The harsh glare of the city lights seemed to amplify the chill in the October air. Tom shivered, not just from the cold, but from a deep-seated feeling of inadequacy that had been his constant companion for as long as he could remember. He adjusted the tie he had borrowed from his roommate, a tie that felt more like a restriction around his neck than an accessory. He smoothed down his thrift store jacket, trying to ignore the faint aroma of stale cigarettes that clung to the fabric. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight, he was celebrating with his friend. But even the simple act of standing outside the gleaming doors of Le Fleur felt like an act of defiance, an intrusion into a world that was not meant for him. Suddenly a hand clamped down on his arm, the grip like a vice. "Hold it right there, buddy!" a gruff voice growled. Tom turned to face the imposing figure of a security guard, a man whose muscles bulged beneath his crisp uniform, his face set in a permanent scowl. "What do you think you're doing here?" Tom swallowed hard, trying to muster some semblance of confidence. "I am here to see a friend," he stammered. "He invited me to the party." The guard's eyes narrowed, scanning Tom from head to toe with blatant disdain. "A dishwasher like you? At a VIP party at Le Fleur? Do not insult my intelligence. Get lost before I call the police." He punctuated his words with a shove, sending Tom stumbling backward onto the cold pavement. "You are just a dishwasher. Get out!" Tom's cheeks burned with shame and humiliation. He wanted to argue, to defend himself, to scream that he was more than just a dishwasher, but the words caught in his throat, choked by the weight of years of being dismissed, overlooked and underestimated. He clenched his fists, his knuckles white, the only outward sign of the turmoil raging within him. He wanted to belong, just for one night, to feel the warmth of acceptance instead of the sting of rejection. Le Fleur. It was more than just a restaurant. It was a symbol of everything Tom was not. A beacon of wealth and privilege, a place where the city's elite gathered to indulge in culinary masterpieces and sip on champagne that cost more than Tom made in a month. He worked there, not as a guest, but as a cog in the machine, toiling away in the steamy, chaotic kitchen, his hands raw from endless cycles of scrubbing and rinsing. Tom was 27, but his life felt much older. He had bounced from one dead-end job to another since dropping out of high school to help his ailing mother. Construction, landscaping, fast food, you name it, he had done it. Each job left him feeling more invisible, more insignificant. He dreamed of something more, something that would allow him to use his hands for creation instead of just cleaning up after others. He wanted to learn carpentry, to build things, to leave his mark on the world in a tangible way. But those dreams always seemed to fade away under the crushing weight of bills and responsibilities. His current role as a dishwasher at Le Fleur was just another rung on the ladder of disappointment. He took pride in his work, scrubbing each plate and glass until it sparkled, but he knew that in the eyes of the world he was just the guy who washed dishes. The invisible man, the hired help, the one who did not matter. When Marcus, a busboy who had become a genuine friend, had invited him to the VIP party, celebrating his promotion, Tom had felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this was a chance to step outside his usual role, to see a different side of life, to feel like he belonged, even if just for a few hours. He had even spent extra money on a new shirt, a simple blue button-down that he hoped would make him look presentable. He knew he could not compete with the designer suits and elegant dresses that would undoubtedly fill the room, but he wanted to make an effort to show Marcus that he appreciated the invitation. Now standing in the cold, his hopes shattered, his stomach churning with a mix of anger and humiliation, he felt like a fool. He should have known better. He should have realized that a dishwasher like him could never truly belong in a place like Le Fleur. The guard, a man Tom knew only as Big Tony, sneered down at him, his eyes devoid of any empathy. "You heard me," he repeated, his voice dripping with contempt. "Get lost. This is not your world." Tom lowered his gaze, his shoulders slumping in defeat. He told Marcus he would be at the party for support. He could not even keep that promise. He began to turn away, ready to disappear back into the shadows, back to the familiar comfort of anonymity. He could not bear another moment of Big Tony's taunts. But as he turned, a voice boomed from the entrance of the restaurant, a voice that carried authority and commanded attention. "What is going on here?" Tom froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He recognized that voice. It was Mr. Dubois, the owner of Le Fleur, a man known for his impeccable taste, his sharp business acumen, and his unwavering commitment to excellence. A man who, in Tom's experience, rarely ventured out of his private office. Mr. Dubois, a man in his mid-50s with silver hair and a tailored suit that exuded power and sophistication, strode purposefully toward them, his expression a mixture of curiosity and concern. He stopped in front of Big Tony, his eyes narrowed. "I asked you a question, Tony. What is the meaning of this commotion?" Big Tony straightened up, his face paling slightly under Mr. Dubois's intense gaze. "Sir, this man was trying to enter the party without an invitation. I was simply enforcing the rules." Mr. Dubois turned his attention to Tom, his eyes scanning him with a discerning look. Tom felt a fresh wave of embarrassment wash over him. He knew that Mr. Dubois had probably never even noticed him before, despite the fact that he worked in his restaurant. He was just another face in the crowd, another pair of hands doing a thankless job. Tom braced himself for the inevitable dismissal, the polite but firm request to leave. He was ready to accept his fate, to retreat back to the shadows and lick his wounds in private. He had expected this all along anyway. But then, something unexpected happened. Mr. Dubois' eyes widened, a flicker of recognition flashing across his face. He took a step closer to Tom, his gaze intense. "Wait a minute," he said, his voice laced with surprise. "I know you, do I not?" Big Tony shifted nervously, his hand instinctively reaching for his radio. "Sir, I can assure you this man does not belong here. I can handle this." Mr. Dubois ignored him, his eyes still fixed on Tom. A look of disbelief crossed his face. "Wait, that is him?" Tom's heart skipped a beat. What did Mr. Dubois mean? How could he possibly know him? He had never spoken to the man, never even been in the same room with him except when he was washing dishes. Mr. Dubois reached out, his hand grasping Tom's shoulder with surprising strength. He gave Tom's shoulder a squeeze. "Tom, is it not? Tom, I cannot believe it is you." Tom was completely bewildered. "Mr. Dubois, I do not understand." Mr. Dubois turned back to Big Tony, his eyes blazing with anger. The smile was wiped from his face. "You just kicked out the man who saved my son!" And in that moment, everything changed. The air crackled with a palpable tension. The revelation that Tom had saved Mr. Dubois's son hung heavy in the air, silencing the murmur of the arriving guests. Big Tony stood frozen, his face a mask of disbelief and dawning horror. He stammered, "Mr. Dubois, I had no idea. He did not say anything." Mr. Dubois' gaze remained fixed on Big Tony, his eyes radiating disappointment and anger. "That is precisely the point, Tony. He is not the type to boast or demand recognition. He is a true hero, a man of quiet courage and humility, qualities that, I am afraid, you seem to lack entirely." He turned his attention back to Tom, his voice softening. "Tom, I owe you a debt that I can never fully repay. Please come inside. You are my guest of honor tonight." He extended his hand, his eyes conveying genuine gratitude. Tom was still reeling from the unexpected turn of events. One moment he was being dismissed and humiliated, the next he was being hailed as a hero. He looked at Mr. Dubois's outstretched hand, then back at Big Tony's stricken face. He felt a strange mix of emotions, vindication, surprise, and a hint of pity for the man who had so readily judged him. He took Mr. Dubois's hand, his grip firm. "Thank you, Mr. Dubois. I appreciate it." As they walked toward the entrance, Mr. Dubois placed a hand on Tom's shoulder, guiding him through the throng of bewildered guests. "Everyone," he announced, his voice resonating through the crowd, "I would like you to meet Tom. This is the young man who saved my son Michael from a terrible accident a few years ago. He risked his own life to pull Michael from a burning car. Without him, my son would not be alive today." A ripple of murmurs spread through the crowd. Heads turned, eyes widened, and a sense of awe and respect filled the air. Tom, who had been invisible just moments before, was now the center of attention. People who had previously ignored him now offered smiles and nods of acknowledgement. It was a surreal experience, like stepping into a movie. Big Tony, meanwhile, stood outside, a pariah in his own uniform. He watched as Tom was ushered into the restaurant, surrounded by people eager to shake his hand and offer their congratulations. The realization of what he had done washed over him like a tidal wave. He had not just insulted a guest, he had insulted the man who had saved the owner's son. His career, his reputation, everything he had worked for, was crumbling before his eyes. Inside Le Fleur, Tom was led to a table laden with delicacies and champagne. Mr. Dubois introduced him to his wife, Eleanor, a gracious and elegant woman who thanked him profusely for his heroism. She treated Tom with genuine warmth and respect, making him feel like he truly belonged. But even as he basked in the attention and gratitude, Tom could not shake off the feeling of unease. He was not used to being treated this way. He was not comfortable in this world of wealth and privilege. He felt like an imposter, a fraud, a dishwasher in a borrowed suit. As the evening progressed, Tom found himself engaged in conversations with people he would never have dreamed of talking to. Doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, philanthropists, they all seemed genuinely interested in his story. They asked him about his life, his dreams, his aspirations. They praised his bravery, his selflessness, his humility. But beneath the surface of polite conversation, Tom sensed a subtle undercurrent of condescension. Some people seemed to be more interested in the novelty of his story than in him as a person. They treated him like a curiosity, an exhibit in a museum of social mobility. He could feel their eyes assessing him, judging him, wondering if he was truly worthy of their attention. One guest, a woman with a diamond necklace and a withering gaze, approached him with a forced smile. "So, Tom," she said, her voice dripping with insincerity, "I hear you are a dishwasher. How fascinating. Do you enjoy your work?" Tom hesitated, unsure how to respond. He did not want to sound ungrateful or resentful, but he also did not want to pretend to be something he was not. "It is a job," he said simply. It pays the bills." The woman's smile tightened. "Of course you may," she said, her eyes flitting over his borrowed tie. "Well, I am sure Mr. Dubois will find you something more suitable now that he knows your true worth." Tom bristled at her patronizing tone. He did not want a handout. He did not want to be rewarded for his heroism. He just wanted to be treated with respect, regardless of his job or his social status. Later in the evening, Tom found himself standing alone on the balcony, overlooking the glittering cityscape. The cool night air was a welcome relief from the stuffy atmosphere inside. He took a deep breath, trying to clear his head. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Mr. Dubois approaching. "Tom," Mr. Dubois said, his voice filled with concern, "are you all right? You seem a bit distant." Tom hesitated, unsure whether to confide in Mr. Dubois. He did not want to seem ungrateful or to complain about the generosity he had been shown, but he also needed to be honest. "Mr. Dubois," he said, "I appreciate everything you have done for me tonight, but I am not sure I belong here. I am not used to this kind of attention. I feel like I am pretending to be someone I am not." Mr. Dubois nodded, his eyes filled with understanding. "I understand, Tom. This is not your world, but that does not mean you do not deserve to be here. You are a good man, Tom, a man of integrity and courage, and those qualities are valuable in any world." He paused, then continued, But I also know that you cannot change who you are overnight. You cannot suddenly become comfortable in a world that is foreign to you. It takes time and it takes support. He placed a hand on Tom's shoulder. Tom, I want to help you. I want to give you a chance to pursue your dreams. What is it that you really want to do with your life? Tom looked at Mr. Dubois, his heart filled with gratitude. For the first time in a long time, he felt like someone believed in him, someone saw his potential. I want to be a carpenter, Mr. Dubois, he said. I want to build things with my hands. I want to create something that will last. Mr. Dubois smiled. Then that is what you shall do, Tom. I will help you find an apprenticeship. I will help you get the training you need. I will do everything I can to make your dream a reality. As they stood on the balcony, looking out at the city lights, Tom felt a surge of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this was a turning point in his life. Maybe, just maybe, he could finally escape the cycle of disappointment and achieve something meaningful. But even as he felt the hope rising within him, he could not forget the image of Big Tony standing outside, his face filled with despair. He knew that Big Tony had made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but he also knew that everyone deserved a second chance. He turned to Mr. Dubois. Mr. Dubois, he said, what is going to happen to Big Tony? Mr. Dubois sighed. I am afraid I had to let him go, Tom. His behavior was unacceptable. I cannot tolerate discrimination or disrespect in my establishment. Tom nodded, understanding. But he still felt a pang of sympathy for the man who had treated him so poorly. He knew what it was like to be down on your luck, to feel like the world was against you. Mr. Dubois, he said, I know he made a mistake, but I do not want to see him ruined. Is there anything we can do to help him? Mr. Dubois looked at Tom, his eyes filled with admiration. You are a remarkable young man, Tom, he said. You have every right to be angry and resentful, but instead you are showing compassion and forgiveness. That is a rare quality indeed. He paused, then said, I will see what I can do, Tom. I cannot promise anything, but I will try to help him find another job. Everyone deserves a second chance, even Big Tony. Just then, Marcus, the busboy, who had invited Tom to the party, approached them, his face filled with concern. Tom, he said, I'm so sorry about what happened earlier. I had no idea Big Tony would treat you that way. Tom smiled reassuringly. It is all right, Marcus. It is not your fault. I am just glad that Mr. Dubois came along. Marcus looked at Mr. Dubois, his eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Dubois, he said. You are a true gentleman. Mr. Dubois smiled. You are welcome, Marcus, and thank you for inviting Tom. He is a valuable friend and he deserves to be celebrated. As the three of them stood together on the balcony, looking out at the city lights, Tom felt a sense of belonging that he had never experienced before. He was no longer just a dishwasher, an invisible man. He was Tom, the hero, the friend, the man with a dream. But even as he celebrated his newfound acceptance, he knew that the night was not over yet. He knew that the events of the evening had set in motion a chain of consequences that would ripple through his life and the lives of those around him. He knew that there were still challenges to overcome, obstacles to conquer, and lessons to be learned. And he knew that the story of Tom, the dishwasher who saved a life and found his purpose, was just beginning. The following weeks were a whirlwind for Tom. Mr. Dubois, true to his word, wasted no time in setting things in motion. He contacted a master carpenter he knew, a man named Walter, and arranged for Tom to begin an apprenticeship. Walter was a gruff but fair man, a craftsman who took immense pride in his work. He had been hesitant at first, unsure whether a former dishwasher could truly possess the dedication and skill required for carpentry. But Mr. Dubois had vouched for Tom, emphasizing his character, his work ethic, and his unwavering desire to learn. Walter agreed to give Tom a chance, but he made it clear that there would be no special treatment. Tom would start at the bottom, sweeping floors, hauling lumber, and performing all the mundane tasks that apprentices typically endured. He would have to prove himself, day in and day out, that he was worthy of Walter's time and expertise. Tom embraced the challenge with enthusiasm. He arrived early each morning and stayed late into the evening, eager to soak up every bit of knowledge and experience he could. He listened intently to Walter's instructions, observed his techniques, and practiced his skills with unwavering focus. His hands, once calloused from washing dishes, began to develop a new kind of toughness, a resilience forged in the demanding world of woodworking. He learned how to identify different types of wood, how to use various tools, how to measure accurately, and how to join pieces together seamlessly. He discovered a hidden talent for carpentry, a natural aptitude for shaping and manipulating wood. He found immense satisfaction in creating something tangible, something beautiful, something that would last for generations. But the transition was not without its difficulties. The work was physically demanding, and Tom often found himself exhausted and sore at the end of the day. He missed the camaraderie of the kitchen at Le Fleur, the easy banter with Marcus and the other staff. He also struggled with the financial strain of the apprenticeship. He was earning less money than he had as a dishwasher, and he had to make sacrifices to make ends meet. Despite the challenges, Tom never wavered in his commitment. He knew that he was finally on the right path, that he was pursuing his true calling. He was grateful to Mr. Dubois for giving him this opportunity, for believing in him when no one else had. Meanwhile, the story of Tom, the dishwasher who saved a life and became a carpenter, had spread far and wide. It was featured in the local newspaper, on television news, and on various websites and blogs. Tom became a local celebrity, a symbol of hope and inspiration for people who had overcome adversity. He received letters and emails from people all over the country, praising his courage, his humility, and his determination. He was invited to speak at schools, churches, and community events. He even received a nomination for a local hero award. But the attention made Tom uncomfortable. He did not want to be seen as a hero. He just wanted to be a carpenter, to live a simple, honest life. He worried that the fame would change him, that it would make him arrogant or self-centered. One evening, as Tom was working late in Walter's workshop, Mr. Dubois paid him a visit. "Tom," he said, his voice filled with concern, "you seem troubled. What is on your mind?" Tom hesitated, unsure how to express his feelings. "Mr. Dubois," he said, "I am grateful for everything you have done for me, but I am not sure I can handle all this attention. I am not a hero. I am just a regular guy who did what anyone else would have done in the same situation." Mr. Dubois smiled. "I understand, Tom. The attention can be overwhelming, but you cannot let it define you. You are still the same person you always were. The only difference is that now more people know about your goodness." He paused, then said, "But I also sense that there is something else bothering you. What is it?" Tom sighed. "It is Big Tony," he said. "I cannot stop thinking about him. I feel guilty about what happened to him. I know he made a mistake, but I do not want to see him suffer." Mr. Dubois nodded. "I understand, Tom. You are a compassionate man, but you cannot blame yourself for Big Tony's actions. He made his own choices, and he must face the consequences." "But is there anything we can do to help him?" Tom pleaded. "I heard that he is having a hard time finding another job. His reputation is ruined." Mr. Dubois hesitated. "I do not know, Tom. He made a grave error in judgment. It is difficult to forgive such behavior." But then he looked at Tom's earnest face. His eyes filled with genuine concern, and he softened. "All right, Tom," he said. "I will see what I can do. I cannot promise anything, but I will make some calls, reach out to some contacts. Maybe I can help him find a new opportunity." Tom's face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you, Mr. Dubois," he said. "You are a true friend." A few days later, Mr. Dubois called Tom with some news. "Tom," he said, I have found a job for Big Tony. It is not glamorous, but it is honest work. He will be working as a security guard at a construction site on the outskirts of town." Tom was overjoyed. "That is wonderful news, Mr. Dubois," he said. "Thank you so much for helping him." "There is one condition," Mr. Dubois said. "Big Tony must apologize to you. He must acknowledge his mistake and ask for your forgiveness." Tom agreed without hesitation. He was not looking for revenge or retribution. He just wanted to see Big Tony get a second chance. The next day, Big Tony showed up at Walter's workshop. He was dressed in simple work clothes, his face etched with humility and regret. He approached Tom, his eyes filled with shame.
"Tom," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I am sorry. I was wrong to judge you. I was wrong to treat you with disrespect. You are a better man than I am."
He paused, then continued, "I do not deserve your forgiveness, but I hope that one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me." Tom looked at Big Tony, his heart filled with compassion. He saw the genuine remorse in his eyes, the weight of his regret. He reached out his hand. "I forgive you, Tony," he said. "Everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them." Big Tony grasped Tom's hand, his grip firm. "Thank you, Tom," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You have given me a second chance. I will not let you down." As Big Tony walked away, Tom felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had forgiven his tormentor, and in doing so, he had freed himself from the burden of resentment. He had discovered a profound truth about himself, a truth that would guide him through the rest of his life. He realized that true strength did not come from power or status or wealth. It came from compassion, from forgiveness, from the ability to see the good in others, even those who had wronged you. It came from a willingness to give people a second chance, to believe in their potential for redemption. And in that moment, Tom understood that he was not just a dishwasher, not just a carpenter, not just a local celebrity. He was something more. He was a force for good in the world, a beacon of hope for those who had lost their way. Months passed, and Tom flourished in his apprenticeship. His skill as a carpenter grew exponentially, and he quickly became one of Walter's most trusted and valued assistants. He tackled every project with enthusiasm and dedication, from building simple shelves to crafting intricate furniture. He had a natural eye for design and a knack for problem-solving. Big Tony, too, seemed to be making the most of his second chance. He worked diligently as a security guard, earning a reputation for his reliability and his strong work ethic. He kept to himself, avoided trouble, and treated everyone with respect. He was grateful for the opportunity to rebuild his life, and he was determined not to squander it. One day, Mr. Dubois approached Tom with an exciting proposition. "Tom," he said, "I am planning to open a new restaurant, a smaller, more intimate establishment than Le Fleur. I want it to be a showcase for local talent, a place where people can experience the best of what our community has to offer." He paused, then continued, "I would like you to design and build the interior of the restaurant. I want you to create a space that is both elegant and welcoming, a place that reflects the values of our community. I trust your judgment and your skill. I know you can create something truly special." Tom was thrilled by the offer. It was a chance to showcase his talent on a grand scale, to leave his mark on the city in a lasting way. He accepted the challenge with enthusiasm, pouring his heart and soul into the project. He spent weeks sketching designs, selecting materials, and planning the construction process. He collaborated with local artists and artisans to create unique and beautiful features for the restaurant. He worked tirelessly, often late into the night, fueled by his passion and his desire to create something extraordinary. As the restaurant neared completion, Tom felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that he had never experienced before. He had transformed a vacant space into a stunning work of art, a testament to his skill and his dedication. He could not wait to see the restaurant open and to share his creation with the world. But then, disaster struck. One night, a fire broke out at the construction site, engulfing the restaurant in flames. The fire spread rapidly, fueled by the wood and other flammable materials. Within hours, the entire building was reduced to ashes. Tom arrived at the scene early the next morning, his heart sinking as he surveyed the devastation. The restaurant, his masterpiece, was gone, reduced to a pile of charred rubble. He felt a wave of despair wash over him, a sense of loss and devastation that was almost unbearable. He learned that the fire had been caused by arson. Someone had deliberately set fire to the restaurant, destroying everything that Tom had worked so hard to create. The police launched an investigation, but they had no leads, no suspects. Tom was devastated. He could not understand why anyone would want to destroy his work. He had not made any enemies, he had not wronged anyone. He was just a simple carpenter trying to make a living. As the days passed, Tom sank into a deep depression. He lost his motivation, his enthusiasm, his desire to work. He spent his days holed up in his apartment, staring blankly at the walls. He could not shake off the feeling of hopelessness, the sense that his dreams had been shattered beyond repair. Mr. Dubois tried to comfort him, to reassure him that everything would be all right, but Tom could not be consoled. He felt like he had lost everything, that his life had been reduced to ashes, just like the restaurant. Then, one evening, Tom received an anonymous phone call. The voice on the other end was distorted and unrecognizable. "I know who set the fire," the voice said, "and I know why."
Tom's heart pounded in his chest. "Who is this one?" he demanded. What do you know?"
"I cannot tell you my name," the voice said, "but I can tell you that the fire was set by someone who was jealous of your success, someone who wanted to see you fail."
"Who?"
Tom repeated, his voice trembling. "Tell me who it was." The voice hesitated, then said, "It was Big Tony." Tom was stunned into silence. He could not believe what he was hearing. Big Tony, the man he had forgiven, the man he had helped get a second chance, was the one who had destroyed his dreams.
"No," Tom said, his voice filled with disbelief. "It cannot be true. Big Tony would never do something like that."
"It is true," the voice said. "He was consumed by jealousy and resentment. He could not stand to see you succeed while he was still struggling to rebuild his life." The voice hung up, leaving Tom reeling in shock and disbelief. He did not want to believe that Big Tony was capable of such a heinous act, but deep down he knew that the voice was telling the truth. He remembered the look in Big Tony's eyes when he had apologized, the hint of resentment that had lingered beneath the surface. He remembered the way Big Tony had always seemed uncomfortable around him, as if he was constantly comparing himself to Tom. Tom felt a surge of anger and betrayal. He had forgiven Big Tony, he had helped him get a second chance, and in return, Big Tony had stabbed him in the back. He had destroyed his dreams, his hard work, his future. Tom knew that he had to confront Big Tony, to demand an explanation, to make him pay for what he had done. He could not let him get away with this. He would not let him destroy his life. He drove to the construction site where Big Tony worked, his heart pounding with rage. He found Big Tony standing guard at the entrance, his face etched with weariness and resignation.
"Big Tony," Tom said, his voice trembling with anger. "I know you set the fire."
Big Tony's face paled. He looked at Tom, his eyes filled with fear and guilt. "Tom," he stammered, I can explain." "Explain what?" Tom demanded. "Explain why you destroyed my dreams. Explain why you betrayed my trust. Explain why you are such a hateful, envious man." Big Tony lowered his head, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "I am sorry, Tom," he said, his voice barely audible. "I do not know what came over me. I was consumed by jealousy and resentment. I could not stand to see you succeed while I was still struggling to rebuild my life. So you decided to destroy my life instead," Tom said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Is that your idea of justice?" Big Tony did not respond. He just stood there, his head bowed in shame. Tom felt a surge of rage, a desire to lash out, to hurt Big Tony as much as he had hurt him. He wanted to scream, to shout, to unleash all the anger and frustration that had been building up inside him. But then he remembered the lesson he had learned. the lesson about compassion, about forgiveness, about the importance of giving people a second chance. He realized that lashing out at Big Tony would not solve anything. It would not bring back the restaurant. It would not heal his pain. It would not make him a better person. He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. "Why, Tony?" he said, his voice softening. "Why did you do it?" Big Tony hesitated, then said, "I felt like I was living in your shadow, Tom. Everyone was praising you, admiring you, giving you opportunities that I could only dream of. I felt like I was nothing, that I would never be good enough. But that does not give you the right to destroy my life," Tom said. "We all face challenges. We all struggle with our own insecurities. But we cannot let those feelings consume us, turning us into hateful, destructive people." Big Tony looked at Tom, his eyes filled with tears. "I know," he said. I am so sorry, Tom. I have ruined everything. I have lost my job, my reputation, my self-respect." Tom looked at Big Tony, his heart filled with a mixture of anger and pity. He knew that Big Tony had made a terrible mistake, a mistake that had cost him dearly. But he also knew that Big Tony was suffering, that he was filled with remorse and regret.
"I never wanted revenge," Tom said, his voice low and intense. "But now you know what it feels like."
Tom stared at Big Tony, the silence hanging heavy between them. The weight of betrayal, the sting of lost dreams, all crashed down on him in that moment. He could see the genuine remorse etched on Big Tony's face, but the pain of what had been done was still raw. He took a step back, a deep breath, and spoke, his voice filled with a quiet intensity. "Tony, what you did was wrong. It hurt me deeply, but I'm not going to let it destroy me. I won't let your anger become my anger." Big Tony looked up, a flicker of hope in his eyes. What are you going to do?" Tom paused, considering his words carefully. He had come here seeking justice, maybe even revenge. But standing face to face with the broken man before him, he realized that those things wouldn't bring him any real satisfaction. "I'm going to rebuild," Tom said, his voice firm. "I'm going to take everything I learned from that restaurant, from Walter, from Mr. Dubois, and I'm going to create something even better, something that no one can take away from me." Big Tony shook his head, his voice filled with despair. But I ruined everything. You can't possibly—"
"Yes, I can," Tom interrupted, his voice rising with determination. "Because I'm not going to let your actions define me. I'm not going to let jealousy and bitterness win. I'm going to rise above this, and I'm going to prove that good can triumph over evil."
He paused, then added, "And you, Tony? You need to face the consequences of your actions. You need to find a way to make amends for what you've done." Tom turned and walked away, leaving Big Tony standing alone in the darkness. As he drove home, he thought about what he had said. He knew that rebuilding would not be easy. He would face challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But he also knew that he was not alone. He had friends, mentors, and a community that believed in him. The next day, Tom went to see Mr. Dubois. He told him about his encounter with Big Tony, about the arson, and about his decision to rebuild. Mr. Dubois listened intently, his face filled with a mixture of anger and sadness. "Tom," he said, "I'm so sorry that this happened to you. You do not deserve this. That man, after all we did for him—" He trailed off, shaking his head in disgust. "Mr. Dubois," Tom said, "I know you are angry, but I do not want you to seek revenge. I just want your support. I want to rebuild." Mr. Dubois looked at Tom, his eyes filled with admiration. "You are a remarkable young man, Tom," he said. "Your strength and your compassion never cease to amaze me. Of course I will support you. I will do everything in my power to help you achieve your dreams." He paused, then added, "In fact, I have an idea. I have been thinking about expanding Le Fleur, adding a new wing to the restaurant. I would like you to design and build it. It would be a larger project than the restaurant, a chance for you to truly showcase your talent." Tom was overwhelmed with gratitude. "Mr. Dubois," he said, "I do not know what to say. Thank you from the bottom of my heart." Over the next several months, Tom poured his heart and soul into the new project. He worked tirelessly, designing the new wing, selecting materials, and overseeing the construction process. He collaborated with local artists and artisans to create unique and beautiful features. As he worked, he thought about Big Tony. He wondered how he was doing, whether he had found a way to make amends for his actions. He knew that he could not forgive Big Tony completely, but he also knew that he did not want to hold on to anger and resentment. He wanted to move on, to focus on his own future. One day, as Tom was inspecting the nearly completed construction, he saw a figure standing near the entrance. It was Big Tony. Tom hesitated, unsure whether to approach him, but then he remembered his decision to forgive, to let go of the past. He took a deep breath and walked toward Big Tony.
"Tony," he said, his voice neutral, "what are you doing here?"
Big Tony looked up, his face filled with shame and remorse. "Tom," he said, "I wanted to apologize. I wanted to tell you how sorry I am for what I did. I know that words cannot undo the damage I caused, but I wanted you to know that I am truly sorry." He paused, then continued, "I have been working hard to make amends for my actions. I have been volunteering at a local soup kitchen, helping people in need. I have been trying to be a better person." Tom listened intently, his heart softening. He could see the sincerity in Big Tony's eyes. He knew that Big Tony had truly changed. "I'm glad to hear that, Tony," Tom said. "I forgive you. I cannot forget what you did, but I forgive you." Big Tony's face lit up with gratitude. "Thank you, Tom," he said. "You have given me a second chance. I will not let you down." Just then, Mr. Dubois approached them. He looked at Big Tony, his face filled with suspicion. "What is he doing here, Tom?" he asked. "He came to apologize, Mr. Dubois," Tom said. "And I have forgiven him." Mr. Dubois hesitated, then nodded. "All right," he said, "but he is not welcome here. He needs to move on with his life." Tom nodded in agreement. He knew that Big Tony could not erase the past, but he could create a better future. As Big Tony walked away, Tom turned to Mr. Dubois. "Mr. Dubois," he said, "everyone deserves a second chance. Do you think—" Mr. Dubois raised his hand, cutting Tom off. "Let us not get carried away, Tom. Everyone deserves a second chance." "Do you?" Tom understood what Mr. Dubois meant. Big Tony had been given a chance to do the right thing, and for a while he had taken it. Now he had to rebuild his life all over again, and he could not expect any help from Tom or Mr. Dubois. Tom nodded. "I understand, Mr. Dubois," he said. The grand opening of the new wing of Le Fleur was a resounding success. The restaurant was packed with people eager to experience Tom's creation. The design was stunning, the craftsmanship was impeccable, and the atmosphere was warm and inviting. Tom stood in the center of the restaurant, surrounded by friends, family, and supporters. He looked around at the happy faces, the smiling eyes, and he felt a sense of joy and accomplishment that he had never experienced before. He had overcome adversity, he had rebuilt his dreams, and he had created something truly special. As the evening drew to a close, Tom stepped onto a small stage and addressed the crowd. "I want to thank all of you for being here tonight," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I want to thank Mr. Dubois for his unwavering support, for believing in me when no one else did. And I want to thank all of you for giving me a second chance." He paused, then continued. "I have learned a lot in the past few months. I have learned about the power of forgiveness, the importance of compassion, and the strength of the human spirit. I have learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, and I have learned that anything is possible if you are willing to work hard and never give up on your dreams." He smiled, his eyes shining with hope. "Thank you," he said. "Thank you all." The camera pans across the faces in the crowd, each one reflecting a sense of hope and inspiration. The final shot focuses on Tom, standing tall and proud, a symbol of resilience and redemption. A voiceover concludes the story. Tom's story is a reminder that we all have the power to overcome adversity, to forgive those who have wronged us, and to create a better future for ourselves and for our communities. It is a reminder that even the most humble among us can achieve greatness if we are willing to work hard and never give up on our dreams. Thank you for watching this story of hope and redemption. If you were inspired by Tom's journey, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that celebrate the human spirit. Share this video with your friends and family and let us know in the comments what you thought of the story. What challenges have you overcome in your own life? We'd love to hear your stories. Be sure to check out our other videos for more inspiring content. Until next time, take care and remember that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope.